Guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Tanya, and today I'm going to do a reaction video for you. If you can hear that crying in the background, that is my cat Samara. Yeah, she's being very noisy right now. So this video is a reaction to a video called Top 8 Culture Shocks When Moving to Australia. And I thought this would be a really neat one to do. I know that Australia and America have a lot of things in common. And also like Australia and like the UK have a lot of things in common separate from America, things that we don't have in common. So I'm curious to see what types of things are in this video that maybe Americans also do. Even though he is American and he's saying these are culture shocks, not all Americans are the same. It's a very large country, and so everybody is different, and every state is different, every region is different, so you just kind of, you never know. But anyway, we're gonna go ahead and get into this and check it out. I'm very excited. Also, side note, I put a cat sticker on my cup because it's adorable. Okay, here we go.
Right, let's give this a go. So you've heard about the deadly animals, scorching sun, impossible isolation. What was the other one? And sausage and bread, and you're still thinking that you want to come to the land down under, then prepare yourself for these weird Australian culture shocks. G'day guys, my name's Ross, and I moved with my family to Australia during a...
Okay, so he doesn't sound American. I don't know where he's from.
Global pandemic. Now I love living in Australia, but when we first moved over here, it was a little bit weird. Now to stop things being so weird for you when you make the move, these are our top 8 culture shocks.
Okay, he's British. He's definitely from England. I wasn't sure at first. I thought he was an American moving to Australia, but I was wrong.
Moving to Australia. Australians love their sport, but unless you're from Australia, sometimes the sport is a little bit strange. For example, football isn't football. And I'm not really talking about soccer, or am I? It really freaks me out to say the word soccer. For me, I know what football is. And for Australians, they also know what football is. But when
you guys, the word soccer started in England, or it started in like Great Britain somewhere. That's their word that we took, like, from them, but now they get mad that we say soccer. It's just because the people that came over to the US at the time, they were calling it soccer at the time. And so they brought the word soccer over to America, and so we call it soccer. Other countries call it soccer too. It's not just us. But now they call it football, and they're mad that we call it soccer.
move to Australia, just resign yourself to the fact that you're now probably going to follow the minority sport, and also need a special subscription just to be able to watch it. Football in Australia can mean many things. Football for me means soccer, but football in Queensland means rugby league. And if you come from one of the southern states like Victoria or South Australia, then football can mean AFL. And I still don't understand how that...
I wasn't aware that they called anything else football other than soccer. Like rugby, I thought they just call it rugby. I didn't know they also call it football. I didn't know that. And then whatever the other thing he said was AFL or A something.
Game works, but I want to learn. You can still have a beer
Australian
at an AFL game, right?
league?
But if you come from the UK like me and you still want to watch your beloved football, then you're going to have to become a social hermit, bound to the wee hours of the night just to watch your darling Premier League. If you don't like it, then take up one of the other many forms of football. And if you're American, well, they also kind of play baseball and stuff too, but probably not your form of football. It'd be like too hot in all the pads and stuff. Or imagine getting a spider in your helmet. The second shock that we had coming from the antisocial rest of the world is the fact that in Australia, people are actually friendly to you. I mean, don't get me wrong, like, people are friendly in other parts of the world, but Australians are kind of like this weird level of friendly. People greet you on the street. Neighbours come up to your house and welcome you to the neighbourhood. People actually offer you...
I love that, because Americans are very much like that too. And the Australians that I've spoken to in my Discord and like in my comments and stuff, they're all very friendly. But I know that every country has assholes and every country has friendly people. That doesn't really speak to an entire country, but yeah, the Australians that I've spoken to in my life are very friendly. and Americans as well are also generally, you can meet a lot of Americans that are assholes, but for the most part, people are going to be even fake friendly to you in the street or wave to you. At least where I'm from, people still wave to you in the car. You know, I still wave to all my neighbors. That's kind of, I would imagine, a region by region thing. You're not getting anything like that in New York City, I can tell you that. This is Cody. If you're new, Cody likes to join me in my videos. Can you sit here? Sit here and be still. Be cute.
You help. Now for me, being the antisocial hermit that I am watching my Premier League, people being friendly to me was a little bit weird and it just took a little bit of getting used to. But when it happens to you in Australia, it really does make you realise how nice the world can be. Now hey, you're going to think to yourself, people around the world are nice, and lots of them are. And you normally notice it when you're on holiday. Maybe it's the weather that makes people happier. Because I can tell you that the dreary darkness of winter kind of makes people the opposite. To be honest, this is one of the best culture shocks of Australia. Calling all social recluses out there. If you move to Australia, it's going to make you a better person. No one wants your social awkwardness or unfriendly banter. Australians are genuinely friendly, unless they don't like you. But there's no beating around the bush. It's totally straight. Now coming from the northern hemisphere on the other side of the world, having a cold Christmas becomes a rite of passage. But here, cold Christmases? Welcome to the heat, my friend. Christmas in summer, it's hot. Really hot. If you don't have...
So like in America, if you live in somewhere like Hawaii, Florida, Southern California, Southern Texas, specific areas, you can get a hot Christmas. But for the majority of America, it is a freezing cold Christmas. Not everyone has snow on Christmas, but it's definitely cold.
Aircon, you're gonna struggle. It's not dark. You and your family aren't just confined to one room, watching each other open presents you probably didn't even want. Wishing that the TV was on so that you wouldn't have to make awkward conversation with family members who you hardly ever see apart from the festive time. Wondering to yourself, is it too early to start drinking yet? The fact is that with Christmas in Australia, you get to take all of the good bits of Christmas, like presents, and spending time with family that you actually want to spend time with. And then add all the good things of summer, like going to the beach, spending time in the pool, having a barbecue in the sunshine. Don't hang on to your old traditions of Christmas, like your roast turkey with all of the trimmings. I mean, do hang on to them, but don't whinge that you're doing it in the heat. Have a barbecue instead. Savour the wonder that is a potato bake. Why did we not have these in England? Or if we did, I never had one. They're gorgeous. Make new traditions and embrace the fact that Christmas in summer is now your...
This is a very random comment to make, but I've noticed that British people often call food gorgeous, and I think it's so weird because I don't really think of the word gorgeous as going with food. I think of it as it's a gorgeous sunset, it's a gorgeous person, it's a gorgeous animal. Like, I don't think of food as gorgeous.
New life. Now coming from cosmopolitan Europe, I was kind of used to this next one because people on the continent sometimes like to have a siesta, but at least they opened up the shops and stuff again. Now I know that this can catch out the average Brit visiting Marbella for the first time and wondering why in the middle of the day all the shops are shut, but in Australia it goes to another extreme and shops just shut early. Want to get a coffee after 4 PM? Yeah, nah. Don't be crazy. Why would you need that much caffeine in your system at night? It's going to go dark in a...
But would that be different in places like a major city like Sydney or Melbourne or something? Like, would a major city stay open later, a coffee shop or a whatever, because it's a major city and there's more people? Or is it just nationwide, everybody closes at a certain time?
Couple of hours. Want a takeaway after 9 PM on a Friday? Well, you better live in the city centre. Ain't no one going to work after 9 PM in the burbs. You crazy? Unless you're in the major cities, things in Australia are rarely 24 hours. People have a life. Okay. They don't want to sit there waiting in a restaurant or a shop for your convenience. Don't be so selfish. Why aren't things so convenient? Well, it turns out people don't actually want to work all the time, and you need to respect that. Get a bit more organised. Enjoy a night in. Realise that that thing you think you need, you probably don't need right now. I'm sorry that the shop's shut early, but if you don't have that thing you want right now, is the world going to end? Probably not. And if it was that important, you wouldn't have forgotten it, right? And this culture shock extends into the next one. And it's the worst.
So the way Americans view that, or at least the way people I know view it, is in America, the reason why we have a lot of either 24-hour things or things open really late or whatever, it's not like, oh, if it was important, you would have remembered it or something like that. There's a lot of people working very different types of shifts in America. So there's a lot of people who work third shift, where they go in. Some people might get off work at like 3 in the morning, and they just want to get a bite to eat on their way home or something. So there's things like that. And then there's also, of course, emergencies come up. So if you have an emergency, you have a sick child in the middle of the night or something, and oh my God, we're out of baby Tylenol, you can always go to somewhere open this 24 hours, which these days is fewer and fewer places. There used to be, our Walmarts used to be 24 hours. I don't think they are anymore. We used to have a 24-hour pharmacy, which that one isn't around anymore. So there's not many places, but there are places. And this is just my town though. Like I live in a very small city of about 150,000 people or something, but larger cities are going to have the places open all night, more of them. So, but yeah, I always think of it as, in an emergency situation, what is open,
Culture. And weirdly enough, most Australians don't like to work. I mean, they do like to work. That's a massively sweeping statement. But fortunately for people who live here, we don't live to work. Working to live is an incredibly emancipating feeling. What's the point in going to work all day to earn money to then not have the time to spend it? I don't want to live a life like that, do you? Especially when you have all of this fantastic weather and beautiful scenery to spend it in. Except when it's a La Nina year. Like, the scenery's still there, but the weather's still a bit crap, and it has been for the last 2 years. Fortunately for most Australians, this laissez-faire attitude to work extends to lots of different industries. If you're sick of the daily grind in your job, then come to Australia and you can do the same thing but not work as hard. Wouldn't we all want to just do that? But sometimes this incredibly laid-back nature can lend itself to some slightly weird / potentially unsafe habits. Barefoot in public? That one takes a little bit of getting used to, especially living up here in the sunshine state of Queensland.
Is that weird to do? Is it weird to be barefoot in public? I mean, I know there are places in the States that would look at you like you have, 5,000 eyeballs on your face if you go somewhere barefoot, but at least here where I live, it's maybe not as common as in, like in the South. You might see that a lot, certain small towns in the South, people walking around barefoot and stuff. I live pretty close to the South. I live in central Illinois, and you will see people walking around barefoot. It's not, I don't think anyone would do a double take if they saw that, as long as you're outside. If you were walking around a store, like a grocery store barefoot, you might get some looks. We have a lot of businesses around here that will have a sign on the front that says no shirt, no shoes, no service, meaning if you don't have a shirt on or shoes on, you can't come in. But not every company is like that. And I feel like, I don't know, how often are people really looking at other people's feet anyway? I don't know. I know I prefer to be barefoot. I mean, barefoot as in I have flip-flops on. Like, I don't want socks on, and I don't want tennis shoes on, and I don't want my feet confined in any sort of way. And in the wintertime, living in Illinois, you have to have your feet confined if you go outside. But in the summertime, yeah, I'm barefoot all the time.
And seeing people go barefoot in your local Coles can be pretty much a daily occurrence. Lots of people do it, especially children. It's like they've got an allergy to shoes or thongs. Just put some thongs on, mate.
I don't think it's that
Protect
weird.
yourself. Now, for us
A
foreigners
grocery
who
store,
are used to
that's a
wearing
little
shoes
weird,
anyway just to keep our toes warm, seeing people go barefoot in public and it's not the beach or a swimming pool can be a little bit weird. But actually, rather than criticising or wondering if they've got asbestos in the soles of their feet, don't criticise. join them. Everyone talks about that feeling where you can spread your toes in the sand and how liberating it can be. Well, just go barefoot in public, mate. You get that feeling all the time, except when it's the middle of summer and you step on that black tarmac. Maybe put your thongs on then. Now, if you thought going barefoot in public was rather informal or slightly offensive, then wait until the average Australian speaks to you. Don't get me wrong, most of them are educated, eloquent individuals, but the average Aussie does love a swear. They even do it on the radio. The first time I heard shit on the radio in the morning, I was wondering if my driving was okay or if someone was shouting at me in traffic. No, it was the person on the radio. I've even heard them drop the odd wanker, which can be wholly confusing to some of the people watching this that don't even know what a wanker is. They can say wanker on the radio, yet I'm cursey enough to bleep wanker on my videos. What a beautiful country we live in. Now don't get me wrong, they don't go for the hardcore stuff like or bugger. Wait, bugger isn't really that bad, is it? Oh, I've buggered this up. But most Australians will drop the C-bomb at you as a term of endearment. How's it going? I know that for lots of people when they watch Game of Thrones, dropping the C-bomb was a big taboo. And if you don't like that word, sorry, Australia might not be for you. Because in Australia, lots of people like to swear and everyone's a cunt, so you better get used to it. I don't think I've ever used that many bleeps in a video.
One of my favorite things ever in Game of Thrones is hearing the Hound say the C word.
Before. I really hope I bleeped all of those out. Now the last one is something that's awesome, but also one of my little pet peeves. In Australia, they have some of the best containers for sauce. In those little foldy things that just squeeze out perfectly. What an invention! But in Australia, if you want the privilege of sauce, you have to pay for it. Want some tomato sauce, mate? Yeah, that could be 15 cents, please.
What?
Or 30 cents if you want two, because they're like really small packets. Now don't get me wrong.
You have to pay for your sauce? Oh my God. I think it's possible that they tried to do that here for like a minute and nobody was having it. Americans want their fucking sauce. You're going to give us our sauce and you're not going to charge us for it.
Everywhere does charge for sauce. Thank the Lord. But lots of places do, and it's pretty common practice. If you're like my wife that just loves to slather everything in tomato ketchup, then not only calling it ketchup is going to be weird in Australia, because it's tomato sauce, as I've been told many times when I get that confusing look asking for ketchup. But like going to America and having to pay for something and then add on the sales tax, if you want sauce, you're going to have to pay a little bit more. But the good thing is we don't have to tip, because everyone gets a fair wage. And Medicare. And gun laws. What a beautiful country Australia is. Now if you're thinking of moving to Australia and you don't want to live in Melbourne or Sydney, and you think that like us, Brisbane could be the place for you, then watch this video to wonder if Brisbane is really worth going to. See you later.
That was an interesting little video. I learned a couple things that I didn't know. I can't say I'm too surprised about some of it. Like, I'm not really surprised that Australians walk around barefoot. That doesn't surprise me. Like I said, in America, there's places that you'll go and you'll see people walking around barefoot. It's not really that big of a deal. And let's see, paying for sauce though. I can't believe that. Oh God. I would go broke if I went to Australia. I would go broke just buying sauces. I swear. Because I need extra sauce for dipping. I like extra sauce. But yeah, that was a very neat little video. Oh, I didn't say, the name of this channel is called That Johnston Life. And this is the first time I ever heard of him or seen him. And I just kind of came across his video by chance. So if you would like to see more reactions to either his channel or videos similar to this, go ahead and let me know, and I'll do that. But yeah, that's going to do it for this video. If you liked it, please give it a like, subscribe if you haven't done that yet, and I'll see you next time. Side note, just letting you know that this big bucket right here, this was my Mother's Day gift. This is what I set my camera on today, just so you know.